So will things pick back up again? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Season 2, Episode 4 of Total Drama Island. So, yeah, 2023 specifically. Last episode was really weak, like surprisingly weak. The challenge was just boring, and nothing of note really happened. Like, the only thing that actually happened in the episode was, Millie and Damien making up for for what Millie had done in the previous episode. And Millie got eliminated because Damien couldn't tell anyone because of the sap and everything and his tongue being stuck. So Millie got unfairly sent home because of that. But other than that, nothing really happened in the episode. It was such a just boring nothing of an episode. And it's really disappointing because it's the show is obviously so much better than that. The franchise, the series, whatever you want to call it, is so much better than that. It's at this point, having an episode be that bland and basic just feels out of place. It really just felt off because of it. And nothing was too dangerous. Nothing was too, exciting. No one did anything wrong. It felt so boring. And I don't know if that was intentional. Did the writers and creators want there to be an episode that was just super basic and simple without much of anything going on? Maybe that's the only way they could figure out to eliminate Millie. But I feel like that Millie still would have been a prime target for elimination anyway, even if other characters had done something wrong, because everyone was upset at what she did to Damien anyway. But then again, I don't know. I don't know. Either way, it felt like a really poor episode in terms of quality, in terms of entertainment. And I just wasn't a fan of it. Which sucks because I really love this series, and so I don't want episodes like that. I'd rather have an episode full with fart humor than that. Because at least an episode filled with fart humor is going to have shit going on. You know? It's at least it's something happening. Again, even the challenge was so weak compared to others. It just felt like there was no real effort put into it. And again, that might have been intentional, but that doesn't make it better that it was intentional. I don't know. Either way. So, yeah. I'm going to just hope it gets better from here. And honestly, excuse me, I'm assuming it will. Because there's no way they can continue with the season without it getting better, without it getting more exciting. Because having it be super basic from here on out is just it goes against the concept of the series and would just hurt the overall entertainment factor. It would just really damage this show. If they want to continue making more in the future, they're not going to be able to do so if they do that. One episode is one thing. They can get away with that, but continuing that, no. So I'm assuming it's going to get better. And again, it was only one episode that had this issue, mind you, but still. So hopefully it remains one bad episode. That being said, we're going to get on with this and see what this one has in store for us. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I don't think at this point I need to give a spoiler warning for Squid Game, but just in case, skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to talk about, I want to say somewhere in the middle of the season of Squid Game. So this episode reminded me of an episode of Squid Game. Obviously, there's notable differences, but let me explain it. So there's this episode of Squid Game where they have to go across these glass panels, just kind of hanging over a big drop. And there's two sides to the glass panels, an A side and a B side, basically. And they have to, like, go between the different sides to basically determine which side is stronger. Because if the glass is strong enough, it can hold them up. But if it's weak enough, it'll break and they'll fall through to their deaths. And so there wasn't the would you rather aspect of it in there, but it reminds me of that a lot. I'm even having, like, the bridge of, like, two different, like, an A side and a B side of, well, in this it wasn't glass, but you know. It's very similar. But it's not, like, as spot on, I guess, as the first challenge was this season. But I feel like there's almost kind of a connection there, too. I feel like there's some... They took some inspiration from Squid Game for this season. And I like that. That's fun. Now, I also compared it to Kaiji Ultimate Survivor. Because there's a... I guess you could say similar challenge in Kaiji that's notably different, but kind of still has a similar vibe to it, I guess you could say. Because, here's the thing. If you didn't know, Kaiji Ultimate Survivor, or Kaiji Gambling Apocalypse, whatever you want to call it. Gambling Apocalypse, I believe, is technically the subtitle of the manga, and Ultimate Survivor, I think, is technically only the first season of the anime. But the point is, the Kaiji series is a manga and anime series that is one of the major inspirations for Squid Game. Like, literally. The creator has said so. And in it, there's this one challenge they have to do where they're walking across electrified steel beams. If you have not seen my my AMV I recently put up for Kaiji, I did an AMV recently for the first season of Kaiji. So you can check that out there. There's clips in that AMV to the steel beam walk. And obviously it's very different. It's just a singular steel beam that's electrified and all. So very different than, you know, having the glass plates and all. But there's definitely still some inspiration there that can be seen. It definitely has a similarity to it nonetheless, even if it's notably different still. And it's just, it's interesting, the kind of inspirations that this season is taking. And I really like that they're doing that. Okay, but let's talk about everything else in this episode. So this episode, just in general, was a lot more fun. This felt like more of a total drama challenge than last episode. Like I said, the last episode was boring, honestly. It was boring, nothing really happened, no one really did anything, like, notable. And the challenge was just bland as hell. It didn't really have any excitement to it, it didn't have any intensity or any real danger. And it just didn't feel like a challenge that Chris would do. The only way that could have made it work is if, like, they were expecting something more and Chris was kind of teasing them with that, but nothing ever came, and that was the entire point. Just getting them all tense and anxious for nothing. But I think they did that in season one, didn't they? So they're not going to do that again because they wouldn't fall for it again, the characters. But this episode was a lot more of a Chris style challenge. Because we have this Squid Game like challenge. We have to go across using the answers to the would you rather questions. And the would you rather stuff also gives it a different interest factor because you get to learn about the characters and you get to try and guess what they would choose based on what you already know of them. And I got some of them wrong, but I got quite a lot of them right too. So I like that. I like that you do get a good feel of it, but sometimes they surprise you. Like Axel being into poetry genuinely surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. Also, the fact that that came to a head at the end with Ripper writing an impromptu poem for her and actually winning her over. It's like it was clearly going in the direction that he was going to win her over at some point. But the fact that it was with poetry is actually just, kind of sweet. And fun fact, I'm going to a poetry slam tonight. I thought that was really funny timing. Like, it's not just a random poetry slam. It's actually poetry and music for one, and it's at my church. It's a thing we do every year on Good Friday. It's called the Seven Last Words Poetry and Music Slam. I think something like that. But it's like it's like the seven last words of Jesus, and there's music and poems for each one. So it's like it's a thing we do every year, and something that something that just I was reminded of, because it's like, oh, the day I'm going to do that, there just happens to be there just happens to be poetry mentioned in a show I watch. Specifically on the episode I'm watching today. It's like, oh, that's funny. That's just really funny, coincidental timing. I love it. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this relationship goes. Meanwhile, Bowie and Raj might be leading into a little bit of issues with their relationship, because Raj is very much on the side of playing fair. He's not a cheater. He wants to be as fair as possible and still win, the right way. Bowie has always been more towards willing to cheat. And we see that in this episode, of course, when he's cheating thanks to MK's help. And Raj doesn't know this, thankfully. So Raj thinks he's being fair, but Bowie feels notable guilt over it. Like, we actually saw that in the confessional. Like, he actually does feel genuine guilt over this, because he does like Raj. It's been made very clear that these two do very much like each other. So, yeah. I'm interested to see where that goes as well, to see if anything comes to that. There's also, like, teasing still of Julia and MK. Like, in this episode, like, Julia's like, if something about MK's, like, cheating or something, where, like, a person I would, like, date it or something like that. It was something like that. I don't remember what exactly the words were. But it's like, they are really, like, hyping this up, aren't they? I'm like, are they gonna go there? Are they gonna actually have Julia and MK date? Or just, like, actually fall in love here? Because the thing is, I'm all for it. Like, MK very much reads to me as queer. Like, very much reads to me as queer. And I could see Julia being at least bi-curious or whatnot. Curious enough to at least, see where it goes. I'm very curious as to if they're actually going to go through with that. I would be all for it. We also have the teasing of the relationship of Priya and Caleb, though it's clear Caleb is just, playing the game. He's, I don't think, actually interested in Priya. But Priya is very interested in him. But he's playing the game, and like I said in the reaction, I like that he's playing the game but being nice about it, because it helps him stand apart from characters like Julia and MK, who are more, tricksy and whatnot. They're a lot more um conniving, while he's just being a nice guy. And he again, it doesn't seem like there's actually like it's not he's not going to be like a secret bad guy like Julia was at first. I think he's just genuinely nice, but he's also playing the game to his advantage while being nice. It's it's not a case of him like being like mean or anything. It's just he's playing the game. He's using things to his advantage. And this advantage with the previous winner having an alliance with her is a big deal. He's playing it smart. But again, he's being nice about it. And that helps him stand apart. Um, yeah. I think that this was a pretty good episode. Um, Emma going home, it's like no one else on the team really deserved to. Like, I could see maybe Priya having been voted for, just because I could maybe see them like being upset at her like giving Emma that trust, or maybe like, oh, she led them to the loss somehow. But Emma didn't really deserve to go home either. It's like no one really deserved to go home from their team. No one really did anything wrong. Like, hell, even Ripper has not been that bad lately, and it is weird to admit that, because I hated Ripper in season 1. Like, oh my god, I hated Ripper. But so far in season 2, it's like he's actually mellowed out a little bit. He's actually become a little better. And maybe it's because of his crush on Axel. Maybe that's like calmed him down a bit and made him like less, gross and annoying. But I'm actually not minding him as much as I used to. And don't get me wrong, he's still one of my least favorite. Like, he hasn't like risen up that much. He's not in a shell. She's the one who rose up that much for me. Like I said in the reaction, it's like she's probably become one of my favorites, one of my front runners. I kind of called her earlier in the season a dark horse to win this season, and I stand by that. Like, I think really the only thing that could like get her held back at this point is if she really just fucked up at some point. But I don't know how that would happen. She's so skilled now. And she's done nothing wrong. She's not at any point like done anything to like hurt or earn mistrust or anything like that. She has done nothing wrong in that regard. And yeah, it's wild. It's so wild. It's so interesting what they're doing. There was a lot of good character stuff in this episode. There really was. Um, but yeah, I'm very curious as to how they're going to play this with all these different character dynamics and whatnot going forward. So, Emma's gone. I'm okay with that. I'm not like the biggest fan of Emma. I don't dislike her, though it was getting annoying last season when she did keep going back to Chase. Um, but I've heard of people like that, and I can't entirely hate on them for that, because there's a lot of issues that go into stuff like that. So, but again, I wouldn't have put her up there for me. She probably would have been in my lower half of the cast. currently, so I'm okay with her going. It doesn't hurt at all that she left. It's just, I didn't really think there was anyone who deserved to go from their team, so yeah, not really anything to say in that regard. But yeah, I really did enjoy this, and I'm very excited for more. So, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Total Drama Island 2023? And thank you so much, as always, for watching. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.